Well, I finally. Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Elite Vortex Racing. This is round 11 of the championship, and we are coming from a very soggy Singapore circuit. So, bear with me. My name is Lee, and I am debuting on comms tonight for the first time. So, do apologise if I'm finding my feet as to who's the runners and riders, but I will do our best to guide you through the action. So, Singapore, tricky track at the best of times, and it is damp and soggy for qualifying. So we are looking at a very treacherous session here. Then the guys on their first laps, mainly on out laps now, so we'll pick them up as they start their first runs. Taze Leroy is going to be the first one to set a lap. We've already had a couple of retirements, so whether or not they were accidents on the out lap or for reasons unknown to me, but we will go through. So Leroy coming through the first sector there, close to the walls. You need to get as close to the walls to keep the speed up around here, but in these treacherous conditions you need to leave yourself a little bit of room to avoid having an accident. Wind damage likely around here for many people. And now comes through into the slow right hander. Gets on the power, looking neat and tidy so far. Using all the track. A bit of a wobble there as it gets on the power, but neat and tidy still. The curve nicely there to head up to the very tricky section as they come over the bridge. Back end will want to step out here, but keeping everything neat and tidy. Heads over the bridge now, the tricky braking zone there. She's turning right, but then when we're braking left, the back end wants to rotate. Looking very neat and tidy so far, despite the very tricky conditions. She comes down the slightly downhill braking zone. Again, very nicely clipping the apex there. Taze Leroy, a very good lap from him so far. Again, another one of these braking zones on the turn, unsettles the back of the car, but keeping it neat and tidy so far. And now comes up to the section where he goes under the grandstand. A slight bit of dry track for him. And full wet, so it's a heavy rain. So now comes through the final chicane. Looking very nice and tidy out to the wall. Not too close again though. Being a very tidy lap so far. Sweeps around the penultimate corner. Big drift as he comes out the final corner, and he sets the benchmark of a 1:57.1. So the guys come out straight away. They're beaten by MCR Venom, 56.8. Now Gavin drops into a 57.2, and a new positive VRT Lyronix has now gone to the top of the time sheets in the Ferrari, 55.2. That is a brilliant lap there from him. Joined on the front row by his teammate on the 56.3, but still a 1.1 second gap there. So VRT Frayne has gone P2 as SHR Indigo now drops into a 56.1 to get within at least a second of the pole sitter, but still 9/10 back. That is a very impressive lap there so far from the Ferrari man. The lap time's starting to come through now. Let's see who else we've got coming around. WSR Flip Flop Fish, interesting username. We're not here to judge. No Williams now. How is he getting on? So now, oh, clips the wall, damages his wing, and goes straight on into the wall, and that is the end of his session. So the walls claim another victim. That's the third retirement of the session so far. Williams man ending it in the wall. His teammate, meanwhile, coming out of the final corner with a big wobble. 58.2 puts him 10th, and currently the slowest of the guys to have set a timed lap. A couple of guys on a flying lap. Let's try and pick one of them and pick up Tim Wenting. And he goes fastest with a 55 flat, so demotes the Ferrari down to P2. Tim goes fastest overall in the Renault, so so two outstanding laps so far, 55.0, 55.2. As Taze Leroy drops to a 55.7 as well, so he closes the gap, still half a second shy of the Ferrari and 7/10 off pole. Like conditions here really will sort out those who can manage them. So lovely with the wet tyres, they're looking to do maybe a couple of laps on their tyres. A response there. Lyronix back onto pole position with a 54.7. His teammates popped up to 55.3. So the track's starting to come to the drivers now. Doing a couple of laps on these tyres, getting a bit of extra heat into them. It changes the dynamics a little bit with the wet qualifying. Obviously in the dry qualifying, your last 5 minutes or so when the track really rubbers in, the lap times tend to drop. In the wet, that's not going to be the case. So expect to see lap times consistently quick throughout the session. As Lyrinix currently falls, he gets out of the way of the McLaren. He has finished his run for the time being. Man, he's going to the pits. He's in the pits. So the drivers have finished their run at the moment. On board now with SHR Indigo. Looks like he's on a fast lap. No, we didn't know ERS, so perhaps not. Let's see where he comes up to the split point. We've got the first person sat on the intermediates in the pits, MCR Venom. Currently P7. This is Matt 240. And on the bottom there, the only down P17. Set a lap time. Currently set on the intermediate, so the track potentially drying here, which means that we will start to see a vast improvement in the lap times. Drying here comes around now as he comes under the grandstand. Bit of water just collapsed the wall with the back tyre. He's going round again. But it's a very slow lap time, so in fact now he's gone into the pits. Late entrance to the pits. Let's go and have a look at Tony first, who's on that lap. You can see now a number of the drivers have swapped to the intermediates. And a couple of them are now on their way. So Tony first, out on the wets, but behind him, LR Gavin, Danestar, I'm a D, and Matt 240 are all out on the intermediates. Let's pick up the Red Bull man. I believe he is the first. In fact, his teammate IMD is ahead of him on the road. Danestar is behind him. So IMD is the first of the intermediate runners, so let's pick up him and see how he gets on. The conditions in the track looking drier, a little bit less rain falling. So the guys now, he's straight line the chicane. Only his outlap though, so it won't matter too much. Oh, big slide into the hairpin though. That's not going to do his tyres much good. So still very wet out there. Despite the track changing over, still a lot of standing water, so the intermediates might not pick up on this first flying lap. We may need to see the guys do a couple of laps, as we have with the wet tyres, to really get them operating, clear a bit more of the water. He comes around after the end of the lap, he will be the first to start the flying lap on the inters. So let's see where he ends up, coming on a 57.3 down P11. We're going to see him jump up there, the guys in fourth. So we've got Plick 6, Taze Leroy out on intermediates, SHR Indigos come out on the intermediates as well. So a lot of the drivers are changing over, and here we go then, first flying lap. First corner, tips in, apexes nicely. Looking okay at the moment. Now as he gets on the power here, no, neat and tidy. Inter's clearing enough water. Comes around the corner, up to the wall, nicely does it. Now on the straight, we've got the first checkpoint at the end of this straight. Let's see where he is relative to the current pole position. He is 1.1 seconds up on his current time. Vast improvement there so far from Imad. Slow section of right angle corners. And now drive down to what used to be the chicane. It's now just a simple left-hander. This is a tricky section now as it comes over the bridge. A big slide here on his outlap. Going to keep it more in check this time around. Yeah, that's much better this time. Power, end of the straight is checkpoint 2. Let's see where he is now. 1.1 seconds up on his best time in the first sector. He's 2.9 now. He is absolutely flying. So the intermediate crossover has happened. Oh, a bit of a slide there. Very big slides. Just about catches it. That's going to cost him some time. He swoops in now under the grandstands towards the end of the lap. Got the final chicane coming up now. Still be a big improvement on his current lap time. Neat and tidy through the chicane into the penultimate corner. Swoops round out of the final corner. And he sets a 52.9. So big improvement there, 4.4 seconds. So even despite that big slide, improves his lap time. However, he's demoted to P2 by Danestar, who's behind him on track. He's gone a second faster, so that slide there's cost him possibly a second. Danestar now on pole, but everybody out on intermediates now. Let's pick up the Ferrari, currently P5. He is a second up on his time in the first sector, so again, big improvements. Oh, big kick of oversteer though. Taylor Leroy lowers the benchmark to a 51.7. What can a VR2 frame do? Second up in the first sector, but big moment there as he got on the power. Gathered it up nicely though. Comes over the bridge. Tricky braking here, she's braking on the turn, but nice and tidy. It's on the power. The yellow flag sector 3, I think that's just somebody getting out of the way. To the brakes, 2.7 seconds up. As Plex 6 now goes fastest on the 51.6, so demotes Taze Leroy by a tenth of a second. VLT frame coming round, now he's on target to be in amongst those guys at the top. Oh, another big moment there as he gets on the power. Just to keep it pointing in the right direction though. Into the chicane he comes. So all on the outside, 2 corners to go. Swoops in around the final corner and he goes fastest, the 59.0. But despite a couple of moments, he's now 6/10 up. Fastest of all. Let's go find his teammate Lyrinix, who was fastest before the intermediate runners started. Can he respond to his teammate? Oh, he's a bit wide there. It's going to cost him some time. Coming out to the sector 2 checkpoint. Still 2.3 seconds up. That's not going to be enough for pole though, so he's got to find some time in the final sector. Tim Wentink has now gone fastest. 59.0, so 9 thousandths up there on VRT frame. Lap time's dropping now into the final 2 minutes of the session. A bit of a slide. It's been a scruffy lap from Lyrinix. Still going to be improvement though, but where is he going to end up with this lap? Around the final corner. And he's still got enough to go fastest, 50.9. So a tenth up. And the Ferrari man returns himself to the head of the timesheets. Running in second Ferrari in P3. He is massively off the pace on this lap, so I don't think he's flying on this lap. Who have we got? He's on a lap. LR Gavin T starts his flying lap. Currently down in P13. 17, this will be his first run on the intermediates. Everything lap he gets in as well now. So he's got to make it count. Comes out of the first couple of corners, driving straight through the fast right hand kink. Still very treacherous in these conditions. 9/10 of a second up on his current best time. His current lap time is 7 seconds off the ultimate pace, so let's see how much time he can make up through the rest of the lap. Standings Ferrari on pole. Lyrinix with Tim Went. Oh, Frayne has retired, so he's not going to improve his lap. Tim Wentink in P2. Frayne currently third. Taze Leroy goes up to P4. Just demotes Plex 6 down to P5. McLaren 6th and 7th. Westy and Venom. Ahead of SHR Indigo. Dane Start P9 and Chrisori Alex. Yeah. I'm going to struggle with some of these names tonight, so apologies as I fuddle my way through. Just call him Chris for easy sake. And it's out. Gavin T comes under the grandstand. Session has ended now, so last chance for drivers to improve their times. Just a couple of guys to come through. And Gavin T2 rounds the final corner. Goes up to P10, 52.0. So she's got Indigo, moves himself to P7 as his final flying lap. And that is the end of the session. So that's everybody over the line, I believe. Oh, no, they're not. Tim Wentink on a flying lap, also up on his time. He's got to find 4/10 in the final sector. He was marginally up in the middle sector. Can he find the time to take pole position? The chicane for the final time. To the final couple of corners now. Attacks the first part, drives for the line. Can he take pole position? He can! With 50.618. That's enough for pole position. Behind him, Lyrinix is not on a hot lap, so he is not going to improve. Tony first at the final corner. He moves up to P11. That does complete the session, so that's everybody over the line now. And Tim Wentink takes pole position in a very wet but drying Singapore. Moving down the grid for you in a second. Apologies if I mispronounce anybody's names, by the way. So Tim Wentink takes pole position. Lyrinix and Frayne in the Ferraris, second and third. Taze Leroy P4 for Alfa Romeo ahead of Plick 6. He's P5 for Mercedes. Westy F1 is 6th. In the lead, McLaren ahead of SHR Indigo in the Haas P7. MCR Venom 8 in the second of the McLarens. Dane Star in the second Haas, top 9, and LR Gavin T rounds out the top 10 in the second Renault. Now let's see what the race conditions are going to bring us. Are we going to see a dry race? Or are we going to have more wet weather? So, it looks as if we've got a dry race. Well, that track does look a little bit splash happy, so perhaps not. We'll wait to see what tyres the drivers are starting on. At Singapore, it can definitely throw at wet races. It's a tricky track at the best of times. Obviously, a walled line circuit, much like Baku and Monaco. A lot faster than Monaco, maybe not quite as quick as Baku. But very punishing for mistakes. If you make a mistake here, you're likely to be in the wall, and that could very easily be the end of your race. Definitely the end of your front wing. As the drivers now just about getting ready to start the race. We'll go through the formation lap and run down the starting order. So we've got everybody on dry tyres. So it is a dry race. So Tim Wentink starts on pole. He's starting on the medium tyres. Behind him, VRT Lyrinix is on the hard tyre on the Ferrari. VRT Frayne, his teammates, on the medium. And Taze Levi, P4, medium compound on his Alfa Romeo. Plick 6 P5 is starting on the hard tyre with Westy F1. P6 for the lead McLaren, also on the hard tyre. SHR Indigo, P7 has hard tyre. MCR Venom starting on the hards as well, so a big mixture in the top 10. A lot of guys going for the hard tyre. Dane Star also on hard tyre, P9 in the Has. LR Gavin T starting on the mediums in the Renault. And behind him, of course, with the wet qualifying dry race, everybody's on fresh tyres, so no downside to starting on the tyres. They're all on fresh tyres. Tony First, P11 on the medium tyre, then P12. Chrisori Alex is on the soft tyre, so the only man on the soft tyre is going off kilter with everybody else. Ima D is on the hard tyre in the lead Red Bull ahead of his teammate. At 240, he's running on the mediums. LR Cohen is on the hard tyre. And then we've got MES Compassion 99 on the hard tyre. WSR Flip Flop Fish on the hards, and bringing up the rear is Warbeeg in the Toro Rosso, and he is starting on the mediums. So as they come round to the end of the lap there, a bit of a just revving the tyres up there, getting a bit of heat into them before the start of the race. Pat coming around now, he's back in the field up. Plenty of weaving, sliding, getting some heat into those tyres. I'll need him off the grid. Although his nearest rival is on the hard compound, so he should get that initial jump that the medium tyres offer. So we come round to the grid, start to form up. A couple of guys already there. They've had a bit of a bump on the sighting lap, so they will be strong. The tyres will be cool when they start the race. So then it comes into position. So watch the grid starting to form up. And we're ready for 31 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. Round 11 of the championship. Here we go. No one this camera view, please. Thank you. No. Okay, so give me for him, but not for him. Thank you, co-masters. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go. Everybody seems to get a fairly good start. And the pole sitter gets into turn 1 first. The Ferrari's going side by side. Dominic's trying to hold up his teammate. Still side by side. His team has got the inside of him now, though. There's medium tyres. He's going to go for a switch back, though, coming out of turn 2. Bit of bumping in the background. Everybody seems to have got away through okay. One of the Red Bulls has dropped to the back. Through comes Taze Leroy, though. Slits the Ferraris and gets all the way up to P2. It's a great start from him. They get a great run down the straight. Passes both the Ferraris up into P2. With the medium tyres there, using the grip advantage he's got there to pass Lyronix. Held off his teammate, but the Alfa Romeo man has crept through the gap. And up into P2. So Chrisori Alex as well up to P9 there, so the soft tyres helping him off the grid. At the front it is Tim Wentink who leads. Perfect start from pole, 1.5 seconds to the good. Taze Leroy has passed the Ferraris, now he's in pursuit. Can he do about the Renault man? Lyronix going a little bit deep into the first part of the chicane there. His team is all over the back of him. We've got, and Compassion's crashed. The middle part of the seconds, and a virtual safety car on the opening lap. Compassion looks like he's lost it coming out of the right-hander. Possibly some contact. He's in the middle of the straight, so it's an interesting place to have crashed. Everybody into the virtual safety car. Save a bit of ERS, get some heat into the tyres, especially the hard runners. Well, SHR Indigo's picked up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so he's dived in already. Some wing damage for him. Tony First, Matt 240. All in as well. And Chrisori Alex has now picked up a penalty for collision under the virtual safety car. Indigo takes his penalty. And he's on his way, and we are back racing. Oh. Got contact in the pack. One of the McLarens. Oh, and we've got Alex with no front wing. So we have for Romeo on the soft tyres. He's not going to get any advantage from them now. So lets the field through. So contact in the pack. Back up towards the front, got a battle there between MCL Venom and Gavin T. Going side by side. And so trying to go around the outside. Squeezed up against the wall. I've got the inside for this fast kink. Venom holds him off. He's going for the chicane. Behind him, we've got Danestar. We've got LR Cohen. Olboig. I'm a D, all queued up behind them. Taze Leroy continuing to lead. Sorry, Tim Wenbrink continues to lead. Taze Leroy giving in pursuit as into the pits comes the McLaren. Venom in already as he picks up some wing damage. It looks like he has. That releases LR Gavin, and now he heads to train. Well, the Ferraris have swapped positions now. VRT Frayne up into P3 ahead of his teammates, so the medium tyre runner is clear and chasing after the top two. Further back we've got the train. So Gavin's pulled a bit of a gap over Danestar. Himself has got a bit of a back. LR Cohen's got Toro Rosso all over the back of him. If I'm correct in thinking, the Toro Rosso man has come up from the back of the grid. Yes, indeed, up 10 places already. Fantastic stuff there from Volbeek. Oh, Cohen was wide there. He just kept it at the wall, but it's compromised his run here. Having to go defensive. Holds onto the place for now. Again, just a smatter of an opening there. The Williams man offered the Toro Rosso. He thought about it, but thought better of it. It's not really an overtaking opportunity. And the D behind him on 4 places. He's got the second Williams of flip-flop Flishall behind. Now he's going down the outside. Been a lad there. He's managed to hold off the Williams man. We've now got a virtual safety car again. What has happened now? We've got sorry, Alex has retired, but he's that's possibly what's caused it. So second virtual safety car on lap 3. Claimed 2 retirements already. Williams man thought about going to overtake there. We shouldn't do that on the virtual safety car. Taze Leroy pits. Now, has he picked up wing damage? Or is he going for an alternate strategy? Has indeed picked up some wing damage. A new wing going onto his car, so the man from second place going a little bit wide. That's dropping him down the order. And up ahead, Williams and Toro Rosso battle resumes. That's an awful camera view, thank you, Codemasters. Gets the DRS down the straight, down the outside. Williams man trying to come back at him, but he gets it done. So Volbeek up 12 places now with a P6. Oh, Cohen has a big slide as he gets on the power. He has handed that position over. Of course, Volbeek on the medium tyres, LR Cohen on the hard, so got more grip at this stage of the race, but that will come back to LR Cohen later on when he gets onto the medium tyres towards the end of the race. Behind him, his teammate is looking to clear the Red Bull. This battle for P8. Down the straight. Not quite close enough. Thanks. Tries to move around in his mirrors. Oh! LR Cohen's had a moment. He slapped the wall and he's lost his end plate on the left hand side. See there, yep, damage on the left hand side, so the end plate's gone. That's going to compromise him. He's going to get out of the way there, so yep, he's just letting guys through, he's not holding them up. Expect him into the pits. It's unlucky for him there, so he's going to have to pit. That's going to compromise his strategy. Does he go on to hard? The West F1 are very wide out the final corner. Into the pits he comes. So the field is spreading out a little bit. We've got a couple of battles, the Armour D and Flip Flop Flish here battling over P7 now. A little further back we've got Map 240 and Plick 6. Okay, so let's go and have a look at those two. Thank you. After turn 1, these two have stopped already. Mercedes man now hunting the back of the Red Bull. Takes Leroy back in the pits again. Into the hard tyre. Does he think he can get that to the end now? We shall see. He has severely hampered his race. So the man running P2 had a great start as well. Fourth on the grid, up onto P2, cleared the Ferraris, picked up some wing damage, dropped him down the order, and our second pit stop in as many laps. Seeing him down in P16. How the race has changed for him. Armour D and Flip-Flop Fish, and just catch the end of that move. Flip-Flop Fish has taken away P7. But the battle is not over. Red Bull man has latched onto his tail. Both these guys on the hard tyre. Behind them, West F1 closing in as well. So this could be a three-way battle soon. If these two continue to squabble and hold each other up. DRS is open, moves to the inside, just showing him his nose though. Wasn't really close enough for a move that time. Further forward, and Volbeek has caught Dainstar. Dainstar on the hard tyres, Volbeek on the mediums, and he's really charging through. 18th to 6th. We've got eyes on P5, and we've got SHR Indigo in the wall. Further down, I think he's just had a spin. He's carried on, so dropped him down to P16 there. So another one having damage early on. It's a great battle here. So can he get the traction on the medium tyres? Short blast down here, possibly not close enough. We'll wait for another opportunity. Very tricky braking zones there. When you're turning in, it unsettles the back of the car. Very easy to slide the back end. You're doing a good job so far. As they go under the grandstand. Up now to the chicane for towards the end of the lap. 2 corners to go. And opens up a corner. DRS activates for Volbeek. Now he's got a good run there. Again, just fakes to the inside. Not quite close enough to go for the move. Got another DRS zone coming up, so he's going to stay close. Let's come on the first couple of corners. Turn 4. Now a longer straight here. This will be a better opportunity. Goes for the inside into the kink. Dainstar's got the overlap though. He's got the inside. And he will hold the position for now. He runs a little bit deep on the exit though. Volbeek trying to come back at him, but Dainstar holds the position. Good defence there. And Cohen, having fitted medium tyre, is just at the fastest lap as he recovers. Currently on P14. A bit further back, Flip-Flop Fish and Armour D continuing to battle. With Flip-Flop Fish now just starting to inch away. Meanwhile, race leader Tim Wenting, why is that so difficult for me to say? Continues to lead his gap now 5.5 seconds, so he's comfortably in the lead. Ferrari's behind him. Frayne continuing to lead the charge, his teammate 1.7 seconds back. On those hard tyres there, that will leave him in good stead for the second half of the race, as he can come back at his teammate if he can stay close. But what can they do about the race leader? And continues to just inch away. Second Renault, Gavin, started 10th up to P4. He's had a good start, gets himself out of trouble. Renault's first and fourth, Ferrari second and third. Behind them, the battle continues. Dainstar just managing to pull a bit of a gap now over Volbeek. Shouldn't be under threat. He's still within DRS range, but he won't be under threat into the braking zone this time, so we'll bring him back onto the tail though. We're bringing some Westy pits in the McLaren. And having swapped places, Flip-Flop Flish not really able to get away from Imad so far. Hanging on to his coattails. Ooh. Oh, contact! And around goes the Red Bull, and Matt 240. And Tony first. There's contact, they tried to go around the outside. There's contact on the exit of the corner, and the Red Bull spins around. Himself put in the right way, and he's on his way again. I think he's avoided wing damage, but his rear tyres will be cooked, having just spun himself back around. So he needs to watch himself for a couple of corners. He'll be very unhappy with that. Looking down to P12. A little bit further forward, Volbeek has got back onto the tail of Dainstar. Excuse me for a minute. Not close enough to the start finish straight, but he's a lot closer now as they head to the back straight. This will probably be his main overtaking spot. If he can stay there, he's got a very good run. DRS pops open. Once again, Dainstar gives him the right hand side, which means he'll have the inside, and again holds onto the position. Ooh, late switch, but not close enough to send it up the inside. Dainstar continues to hold on to P5. Ferocious battle here, Dainstar. Excellent defensive work. Volbeek's able to find a way through. And is that rain falling? I see on that camera it is rain falling. There is rain falling. It's just spitting at the moment. But we'll have to see. Wet weather. Which explains the mixed strategies as the drivers try to figure out how long they need to stay on their dry tyres. It's starting to spit with rain. Around the penultimate corner. DRS pops open again. I don't think he's close enough this lap again. We'll bring him close. Flip-Flop Fish is in. And what tyre is he going to go on to? This is spitting with rain. It's not raining hard enough yet though for wet tyres. It would be a very brave strategy to go on to putting the inters on. So he's going early. Now is that too early? It's a bold gamble. Is that going to pay off for him? Next is the pit lane now. He's outside the top 10. Very, very brave gamble from Flip-Flop Fish, because at the moment it's a very dry track. Let's pick back up with the battle for P5. Dainstar has just inched away again. 10 laps in now, and the medium tyres probably starting to wear a little bit now, so that initial grip advantage they had over the hards will probably be eradicated for the most part now. The tyres starting to wear. The question is now, when does this rain become heavy enough for more drivers to take the gamble? Because Flip-Flop Fish is going down the order at the moment. I think he's pitted too soon. Nobody else has yet gone in. Leader's carrying on. And he picks up a time penalty for corner cutting. The intermediate tyres are not happy at the moment. Is he going to have to pit again? Going for some softs or mediums. Because he is on the intermediates way, way too early. This track is still dry, despite the rain falling. It was a bold gamble. If it had come off, it would have looked brilliant. Unfortunately, it has not come off, and now he looks a little bit silly. Battle for P5 goes again. Daystar again defends the inside. Oh, but a late move, but not close enough. We've got yellow flag, sector 3, and that is Flip Flop Flish has gone round. He is struggling on those intermediate tyres. He needs to pit in again. Go on to the softs or the mediums. The rain does look like it's coming. That's why he's taken the gamble. Danestar picks up a penalty with a big cut on the corner there as he enters the bridge. He's picked himself up a 3-second penalty. It's not going to help him in his defence. Further down we've also got a 3-car battle for P9, P10 and P11. MCR Venom, Plick 6 and Map 240. The second McLaren also just a couple of seconds behind them, STF 1. And they could be joined soon. Venom on the hard tyre, Plick 6 on the mediums. Map 240 on the hards as well. He's recovering of course after that contact. Oh, he's down the inside. It's a very late move. Forces the Mercedes man wide. Gets the overtake done. Oh, Mercedes man's coming back at him. More contact. Mercedes has a big slide. And that's going to let the McLaren through. So having gone on the attack to try and get that position back, he's ended up costing himself another position there, Plick 6. That has not worked out for him at all. Interestingly, Flip Flop Fish has carried on his intermediates. So he has not yet pitted. And meanwhile, the overtake for P5 has finally happened. So Volbeek is up into P5. DRS finally came to him. And he's got the overtake done. Now he's got to try and push on where he's got the tyre advantage. We're continuing to fall, but nobody else has yet gone in for intermediates. So the track's still dry. And Wesley just gets the overtake done on map 240, DRS zone. Fairly straightforward overtake. Oh, map 240's gone deep there into the corner. That keeps it out the wall though. That's going to leave him vulnerable from behind. His Plick 6 recovering. Oh, did he just clip the wall behind it? He did indeed. There goes an end plate. The Mercedes into the wall. HR Indigo picks up a time penalty for corner cuts, down in 15th, so he's not yet recovered. Taze Leroy goes up into P13. Overtake on the bridge section, that's a very good overtake there. And our Cohen napping. Up to P13. Back into the points. So everybody just spreading out a little bit now. This is the closest battle currently. The rain you can see starting to come down a little bit harder now. So are we going to see people starting to dive in? The gamble for the Williams flip-flop fish has not worked. It's now over a minute behind SHR Indigo. He went too early now. Flick 6 into the pits. What tyre did he go for? Venom picking up a time penalty there. There's another set of mediums for Plick 6. And Cohen also in. Where is he going on to? He's going on to the intermediates. So his second Williams going for the gamble. Is it the right gamble though? Again, so many guys on the dry tyre still. It looks a little bit risky. There's his teammate on those intermediates. Still sliding around. I still think it's too dry for the intermediates, but both Williams have now gambled. Meanwhile, race leader Tim Wenting continues on his merry way, still on dry tyres. 5.3 seconds though, so he's lost a little bit of time to the Ferraris behind him. VRT frame just getting that gap down. It was 6 seconds. We've got a yellow flag. And another virtual safety car. And LR Cohen has crashed. So, and again, it looks like another gamble on the intermediate tyre has not worked out. There's his car there, just going past. Race leader goes past him. And we are racing again. We've got a yellow flag. Oh, that's just the Williams retiring. But now onto the virtual safety car there. Tim Wenting has lost a little bit of time. It's now 4.7, so the Ferraris starting to hunt him down a little bit here. Frame continuing to lead Liranix. But Liranix on the hard tyre, right back onto his teammates' rear wing. Got himself within DRS range again. And the harder tyre is looking very good at the moment. Yeah, as the rain continues to fall, but everybody's still on dry tyres, apart from Westy F1 has gone onto the intermediates as well, actually. So another... Oh! Frame goes deep into the stadium section. He's going to let his teammate through. Have his tyres about cried enough. Tim Wenting goes round again. Is Frame going to box? No, he's going to carry on. He looks a little bit ragged at the moment after that mistake. He's let his teammate through to commence the charge. That's let Tim Wenting get away again. The gap back up to just under 6 seconds. It was down at 4.7. And Gavin currently in a very lonely race P4. He's got 9 seconds behind the Ferraris, and he has got Volbeek closing in on him behind. So the Toro Rosso man, who's up from 18th on the grid to P5, continuing to charge. Now another one in the pits there onto the intermediates. I'm a D is now pitted for intermediates. But from what I can see, it's not raining anymore. No, it is still raining, sorry to tell the light. Again, that just feels like too much of a gamble at this stage. More guys pitting so now, but there is a big switch over now. Is this the time? Just the ghosted car getting out of the way. Oh! Dainstar with a massive kick of oversteer as he got on the power. Almost went into the wall on the left hand side, just about got away with it. He's still got his wing intact. But we are now seeing everybody dive into the pits. Is this the lap? Race leader is carrying on. What do the guys behind him do? Liranix carries on. Frame carries on. Gavin T has now got Voybeek all over the back of him. He's struggling. He's going to the pits. Volbeek's going to follow him. Oh, he's gone over the barrier. Over the curb, sorry. Dainstar in as well. So this looks like the lap. He's changing over. And Volbeek just gets out in front of Dainstar. We're just getting him out in front. So it's as you were. Tony First in the Mercedes is carried on for another lap. Just picked up a penalty there for too much curb. Dainstar now back onto the tail of Volbeek. Can he do to him what the Toro Rosso went to him earlier? Trying to go around the outside if he's going to do it, and he has done it as well. Brilliant overtake there. We put a McLaren in the wall at the final corner. It's MCR Venom dived into the pits. And a moment out the final corner. In fact, no, he's retired from the race. So that is the end of the McLaren charge as his teammate comes to the pits behind him. And he too has retired from the race. What is going on here? So the McLarens have both called it a night. And interestingly, having gone onto the intermediates early, Flip-Flop Fish is now on the soft tyres when everybody else is now heading the opposite way. Race leader in for intermediates. Lyrinix in behind him for intermediates as well. The second Ferrari stacked up behind him. But they've got a massive gap to P4. He's not even under the grandstand yet. So Frame will come out in P3 comfortably. Good battle here now. West Gavin trying to get his foot. Oh, Danestar, big slide there. Too much curb. Got the car sideways as he's got on the power. They gathered it up quite nicely. He was a little bit wide there though. Very wide. Out on the painted stuff. You don't want to be out there. Just about gathers it up. And he's on to P5. And he's back off in pursuit of the Renault man. SHR Indigo pits from P12. He's now going on to the intermediates as well. So just... Yep, Tony first is in for intermediates. Taze Leroy's in. He'll be going to the intermediates as well, you would imagine. Yep, track looking very wet now. The switchover has happened. Pits onto the intermediates. Yep, so now all the runners apart from Plix6, who's still coming round. He seems to be struggling a little bit now on the hard tyre. Now to get in and pit. Flip-Flop Fish is back in for a set of wet tyre. Interesting. So he's gone for the heavy wets. So are we going to get some more rain? Well, he's made one bold gamble which hasn't paid off. I suppose P13, quite some way off the back. He may as well gamble. Let's see if that works out for him. We do now, however, have a battle for the lead. Lyrinix has closed right in on the back of Tim Wentink. Doesn't look as comfortable on the intermediates at the moment. This stage of the race, the Ferrari man really closing down. His teammate now 9.7 seconds back. Obviously he had to stack up in pit lane, so he lost a lot of time there. Having been 6 seconds in the lead, Tim Wentink has seen his advantage eradicated under just 1.7 seconds. You can see now the track definitely wet, so the switchover has happened, but it doesn't look like wet, heavy wet weather tyre. We've got Has in the wall. It is SHR Indigo. He's gone straight on. Has he gone to the grandstand section? Has he picked up any damage? No, his wing seems to be intact. Going to drop him down into the pits. Comes Holbeig for another stop. He's damaged his wing. He's putting on a new set of intermediates, new front wing, and he's on his way again. But he's going to lose a place to Tony first. He comes round. He just stopped for intermediates last lap. He takes over P7. Continuing the battle for P4, LR Gavin continues to defend. Danestar right behind him though. No longer has the Toro Rosso chasing him, so he can just focus on attacking the Renault ahead of him. And for the lead to 1.6 seconds between Tim Wentink and the second of the Renault and Lyrinix and the Ferrari. We've got yellow flag. That looks like SHR Indigo. Plenty of curb there. Still right on the curve despite the wet weather. Now, interestingly, Flip-Flop Fish is back in the pits and going onto the soft tyre. Surely not. He's on his way and he's on the soft tyre, which is a interesting call. It's definitely still raining. To continue the battle, DRS is no longer active. So it's definitely too wet for that. Which means now he has to make an organic overtake. Getting close using the slipstream. So I'm just going a little bit wider, trying to get some cool air on those tyres. The slipstream gone into overtake mode. Flag sector 2. There's the Williams, a flip-flop fish, getting out of the way of the second of the Ferraris. Right on the back of the house, almost pushing the Renault around. He looks quicker at this stage of the race, but he cannot find a way past. The DRS assistance is going to be very difficult. He's got to force a mistake from the Renault man. He's a little bit wide there. But gathers it up nicely. Can he catch him out somewhere? Not over the bridge. Not close enough. It's on the power. A bit of a wobble there from the Haas. And he tries to get on the power. Flag sector 2. Looks like SHR Indigo again. Chase the Renault. They're getting out of the way. Quite why he's out on soft tyres in these conditions, I do not know. It's not the tyre to be on. You can see how wet the track is now. Flag sector 2. And again, that's SHR Indigo. Struggling on his tyres at the moment. I think he's possibly cooked his tyres. Quite close enough at this stage. Danestar continuing to hassle the back of the Renault. Oh, Gavin T so far stood firm. Great defence. He's driving his race. He's not really having to defend too much at the moment, so he's not compromising himself. Oh, big moment there as Danestar gets on the power on the curb. And flip-flop fish into the pits for hard tyres now, so he's just going through the rainbow. Which you don't like to see, unfortunately, but I think his race is definitely not going to get any points unless some of the guys ahead of him make mistakes. But with a wet track, it's possible, so he should keep at it. While up front, Ferrari is just inching up onto the back of the Renault. Dropping the second Ferrari, so Frame now 11.5 seconds back. So he's not closing on these two, so these two now just continue to battle for the lead. We're on lap 20 of 31, just 11 laps to go. It's going to be interesting to see how Tim Wenting defends under pressure and what conditions. Looks supreme in the dry. And a 6-second lead at one point, but he's now really hammering down. Might we see another pit stop yet for wet weather tyres? Yellow flag. Oh, Map 240's crashed. He's been out of the race. Hopefully no safety car needed. It's just been cleared. He was on his own on the track anyway, so marshals will have been able to clear the car. Another yellow flag. It's the Williams. The flip-flop fish has gone off again. And we've seen the first person in for wet weather tyres. I'm a D is pitted for wet weathers. Currently P6. So it does look like the rain is really coming down now, so that could be the right choice. Down to P8. Not P9 in fact, as Volbeek has come through. He's now on his way again. He's come out onto the tail of those two. So let's see how he gets on. These two continuing to scrapple over P4. The race lead has closed up even more as well. It's now just 0.6 of a second. Ferrari right onto the tail of the Renault. Can he do? Can he force a mistake from the man who's led from the start? Fakes a pit stop there, moves to the inside. Are these guys starting to think about the wet weather tyres perhaps? The track does look wet, but nobody else has gone for it yet, so just I'm a D. We've made the move onto the wets, but look how much rain's falling, look how much spray's been kicked up. You can't imagine it's far away. Again, these guys coming around as well, so oh, big moment there as Danestar slides around the final corner. Again, there in the background, you can just see that Has really moving around under acceleration. Within half a second of the Renault, but I don't think he's going to be close enough for a move this time. All he can do at the moment is try and force a mistake. Kevin T has been excellent in his defence so far. Not compromising himself by running defensive lines too much. At the moment, I'm a D, not really making much of an impression on Volbeek and Taze Leroy ahead of him. So no massive advantage on those wet weather tyres, despite it looking very wet out there. Continuing battle. As thinks about it, goes to the outside, tries to give himself a better run down the straight. Again though, big wobble under acceleration. Big gap behind these two, Tony first, 35 seconds, there's no pressure behind, that's Plick 6 behind them in the other Mercedes. Yellow flag, I think, again that's SHR Indigo's had another moment. He's on his way again. Danestar trying to find an opening. Can he get close enough to force Gavin T into a mistake? Or can he make a move up the inside? Not close enough at the moment, just sitting and watching, waiting, trying to probe for weaknesses. See if he can force a mistake from the Renault man. Take advantage. Again, he's had a poor exit there, so it's not going to be close enough. And meanwhile, Tim Wenting has just about managed to pull away a little bit. In fact, we've got a virtual safety car again. Not quite sure who that's for. And SHR Indigo has now pitted for wet tyres as well, so second one, we've got Flip-Flop Fish out on the mediums, continuing to try and run dry tyres in wet conditions. With the attrition rate, there's still a chance of points if he keeps his head down. So, racing again. Lyrinix, having lost a little bit of time, can he get back onto the tail of the race leader? You can see how much heavier it looks now in terms of the weather. Is the wet tyre the one to be on? And the D is also now right onto the back of Volbeek. He is on the wet weather tyre, so he's gone for the gamble. Now Flip-Flop Fish has finally been caught out on those dry tyres. That's the end of his race now, so just 11 runners left. Who's just SHR Indigo out of the points. But we've still got 7 laps to go, so it's time for another accident yet. Somebody else can retire. Especially in these treacherous conditions. Everybody's still on the intermediates, bar a couple of guys. Now I'm a D looking very racy now. Wahlbeek wrestling his car. He just looks to have so much more grip. Oh, Volbeek very close to the wall there coming out of the chicane. IMD just looks so much faster at this stage. He's got a good run around the final couple of corners. Is he close enough to go for a move into turn one? I don't think so. Looking very racy now. Wet weather tyres seem to be the ones to be on, but the intermediate's just about holding up. The forwards, we've still got this battle going on for P4, and while Gavin continuing to hold him off. Dainstar looking for a way past. He's right on his gearbox again. And yet Tony first and Taze Leroy going side by side. Oh, Mercedes with a big slide. There's going to be contact there, just avoids it. And Mercedes man survives for now. And that has dropped Taze Leroy right back into this battle between Volbeek and I'm a D. Some good battles forming now towards the end of the race here. Dainstar continues to harass the back of LL Gavin T. Still no way through though. The Renault man standing firm. Great defensive driving. Not making any mistakes. Not giving his rival an opportunity to find a way through. Taze Leroy now having to defend and attack. He's already hunting down the Mercedes man again. Oh, and into the wall goes I'm a D. He's damaged his wing. So despite having the wet weather tyre, too much speed into the corner. Ran deep and hit the wall. And that has damaged his wings. That's him off the back of that pack. Dainstar has never been closer. But again, that bit of a wobble under power. Well, Gavin doesn't go defensive, and Dainstar's down the inside this time. Can Gavin hang on around the outside? No, he can't. Dainstar gets the overtake done. His persistence finally pays off. He's a little bit deep there, but there's no way back for Gavin T at this stage. So Dainstar is through and up into P4 finally. Battle for the race lead has closed back up as well. Now just 0.3 of a second between these two. We've just seen one Renault man crack under pressure. Sustained pressure from the Haas for several laps. What can the race leading one do? He's got the Ferrari all over him again, having dropped back to about 2 seconds back at one point. Squabble going out for the P6. Taze Leroy and Tony First at it again. Leroy this time gets it done. Tony First has a big slide under acceleration, and now he's got Volbeek to contend with. Taze Leroy already starting to pull away. Oh, Mercedes, that big slide under acceleration. Oh, the Toro Rosso came in hot there. Did I just spot some wing damage on the Toro Rosso? Or did I imagine that? I did see some, I believe. Oh, big kick of... No, I'm imagining it, I think. I'm trying to see if he's got damage on his right side. He does have wing damage, so despite the wing damage then, Volbeek doing an excellent job of hanging in there. Continuing the chase down Tony First and Taze Leroy. Taze Leroy not getting away. Oh, he is now just starting to but he's not dropped Tony First. Back in the battle for the lead, and Lyrinix continuing to harass the back of the Renault, not yet able to find a way through. And they've been joined in comms by an unfortunate retiree of the race, named Jamie.
I'm still going.
Oh, you're still going? You are still going. You are P11. I do apologise. It looks like a tough race out there in these conditions.
It's just the whole race to it in general.
Yeah, Singapore is a very tricky track in the dry. I've struggled around here myself, so I feel your pain, mate. Some good battles continue to go on. Tim just holding off. Lyric still not cracked under pressure yet. Dainstar, having cleared Gavin, is now pulled away to 1.6 seconds. So he's got his foot down, but he's got 14.8 seconds to the car ahead, so whether or not he'll be able to get a podium might depend on a mistake from one of the three ahead of him. Oh, Lyrinix going in very hot there into turn 4 as he chases down Tim Wentink. Close again, he's got to within 0.4 of a second with the slipstream. It's not close enough to make a move, but he's starting to pressure the Renault man even more. And just right up against the wall there. On the control. Renault using all the track and then some. Ferrari keeping it away from the walls. Avoid making a mistake. It continues to keep the pressure on. Come down to this tricky hairpin corner. Both around it successfully. Anyway, Ferrari with a better exit again. Probably not close enough to make a move though. Again, just has to sit behind the Renault for now. A little bit wide again there. Closes up even more. But again, it's not really overtaking opportunity, especially in these conditions. Right onto the tail of the Renault again now as they come into the stadium section. Turn left under the grandstand. Despite the pressure, Renault continues to lead. Led from pole position. He's led every lap of the race. He's been under intense pressure for a number of laps from the Ferrari now. Frayne continues to drop away behind them. He's now 18 seconds off the pace. Less than half a second covering the top two. So dropping to turn 1 for the 28th time. 3 laps to go. Can Lyrinix force a mistake from the race leader? Can he get close enough to have an overtaking opportunity? Coming up to lap has, so he might distract the race leaders. Again, he closes up to within 0.3 of a second. Hans gets out of the way, so it doesn't distract them. The battle for the lead continues. Plick 6 into the pits. Is he going to move onto the wet weather tyre as he picked up some damage? Sure, at this stage Tony First is not done with Tay Leroy either. It's keeping the Sauber Alfa Romeo man honest. Taylor having caught and passed the Mercedes man. Hasn't really managed to drop him. With Volbeek behind them despite his wing damage, just clinging on. He has dropped back a little bit now, so he's not really pressuring the Mercedes. We can continue to try and attack the Alfa Romeo for P6. Back with the race leaders, coming to the end of lap 28. Still Ferrari not able to find a way through. Got the yellow flag. And that unfortunately is the end of the man who just popped into the commentary box. Difficult race out there, mate. It looks horrible conditions.
No pace whatsoever.
It's a track I've often struggled with as well, even in the dry, so I do not envy you having to skate around there in the wet. Plick 6 has gone back out on the intermediate, so despite an extra pit stop, didn't fancy the wet weather tyres for the last few laps. Unfortunately, SHR Indigo not having the best night tonight in the tricky conditions here in Singapore. Two who continue to battle, Tim Wentink and VRT Lyrinix. But despite the pressure, the Ferrari moving around in his mirrors. The Renault man with a bit of a mistake there, but not enough to open the door to the Ferrari. Again, that's giving him a little bit of hope. Just brings him back within a couple of tenths. He's still running nose to tail. Fantastic driving from both drivers. The Renault being a little bit defensive down the straights. Ferrari closes again. Continues to pressure, but still the Renault man doesn't crack. The back Frame continuing the whole P3. He's got a comfortable lead over Danestar, who hasn't really made much indentation into the lead. He has pulled away from LR Gavin T though. He's got 3.1 seconds over the second Renault. Taze Leroy now has fended off the advances of the Mercedes for P6. He's got 2.7 seconds back. With Volbeek with that wing damage on to P8. I'm a D after his moment earlier on. Only P9. And Plick 6 has interestingly just swapped to this soft tyre. Now it doesn't look to be raining quite so hard anymore, but there's still a lot of spray kicking up, so whether he thinks he can go for a final dash for the fastest lap, if the track's going to dry out anymore, we shall see. Just clears the Mercedes. Ferrari gets through as well. So still this battle continues. Renault man trying to find a way through. Nothing yet. He's just managing to pull away a little bit. The Ferrari man is still there. On the penultimate lap now, so chances to take the lead are running out. The Ferrari full commitment there from Lyrinix. The back end sliding as he tries to close up. Volbeek also closing on the back of Turney first, a little bit further back. Seems to have had a bit of a moment. He's dropped a few more seconds to Taze Leroy. Oh, and Plick 6 I think has had a moment. Come round the penultimate corner for the penultimate time. 1 lap to go. Last chance now for Lyrinix to find a way past Tim Wentink. Can he force a mistake? So far his defence has been resolute. Again, another one in the pits for soft tyre there. It looked like Plick 6 was struggling a little bit when he went out. D has also gone onto the soft for the last lap. So far so good for Tim Wentink. Not cracked under the pressure, continues to hold the lead. VRT Lyrinix all over the back of him though, trying to find a way through. He is closed up again, he's within 0.4 of a second. It comes in, he's so much more speed there. Closes right up on the back of the Renault, trying to force an opening. Force a mistake for the Renault man, but he continues to hold out resolutely. He's running out of chances. Got a yellow flag, I think it's Plick 6 is in the runoff area again. Still too wet for soft tyres, I think. Still under the grandstand for the final time. Still no mistake from the Renault man. Going to be a fierce battle, but I think he's a little bit deep there. The Ferrari, the big slide though, and that will probably end it. So despite intense pressure from behind, Tim Wentink is your victor of the Singapore Grand Prix. VRT Lyrinix comes home in P2. Fantastic race to close back up onto the leader's tail. Wasn't able to force an opening though, and has to settle for P2. They distance P3, a very lonely ride for the second half of the race from VRT Frame, but he will pick up the podium position. on Plixix has retired on the final lap of the race. Dainstar, having fought his way forwards, clearing Gavin T, comes home with a very decent finish, P4 for him. Gavin T's defence finally broken, but he jumps Dainstar on penalties, so he's back up onto P4. Further back, Taze Leroy, P6 for him. One moment, just going around the final few corners. Ran P2 early on. Picked up wing damage in the early part of the race though. Had to make an extra pit stop. And then made another one a lap later with more wing damage. Which compromised his race, but he's fought back for P6. Goes around the penultimate corner, around the final corner. And across the line. Got a very slidey I'm a D there on those soft tyres. Just gets to the flag. P9. Volbeek. A very adventurous drive. P18 to P5 at one point. Have to settle for P7 at the flag. Oh, Mercedes doing donuts out of the penultimate corner. Just inside of the flag. And unfortunately ends his race in the pit wall. So that is the end of the race, and your winner, having led from the front, from pole position, led every lap, Tim Wentink, a dominant drive from him. He takes the victory. Fantastic drive from him to withstand all that pressure in the second half of the race. Once Lyrinix got onto his tail, did not put a single foot wrong over the whole race, withstanding some intense pressure to take the win. Lyrinix P2 started and finished in the same position, having reclaimed the position from his teammate who dropped away in the second half of the race once the rain started to fall. So Tim Wentink is your race winner. VRT Lyrinix comes home P2. He also had a penalty. VRT Frame rounds off the podium for the second Ferrari, with LR Gavin back up into P4 as he jumped Dainstar on penalties. How many penalties did he have there? Just flash through. 6 seconds, so managing to retake that P4. It's a good race for both Ferrari and Renault. Dainstar comes home P5. Taze Leroy recovers to P6 ahead of Volbeek in P7. Tony first P8. I'm a D P9, and Plix6 rounds off the top 10. So that is the end of the race. A fantastic effort from all those who survived in very tricky conditions. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I have no idea if we're supposed to be doing podium interviews or not. I've not been told. I'm going to assume not. So I'm going to bid you farewell. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will see you again soon.